Welcome to the world as we know it and the show after the show. Right now, we're going to sample four different sakes. Akisa, I brought two sakes. You brought two sakes. Do you want to start off by sharing the ones that you brought first?
Sure. Okay. So then, oh, here's a
Oh, you
bucket.
killed yours.
Of course, I chilled mine.
Oh my gosh, you're beating me already at the
All
start.
right. So, but the downside is that level is got wet and kind of melting away. So that is little issue. But you know what? So when you taste, you usually it's melting,
Melting
gliding
flavor.
down. Yeah, but because it's soaked. So I have a Kubota Junmai Daiginjo, right here in the small bottle, and then I have right here Cowboy Yamaha Cowboy. This is Yamaha Junmai Ginjo Genshu. Okay, so that's two that I have. So I think I should set down my bucket down here.
And I'll go ahead and talk about the ones that I brought. So we're tasting two separate sakes. Sakes are pretty pricey, so I bought two. Akisa already had two on hand. But the ones I brought were the Toko Junmai Ginjo and the and a Nigori, Joto Junmai Nigori. So this one's actually cloudy, and what
Mhm.
I heard is that it's less filtered or it's not really filtered, and it has more of like a coconutty flavor to it. Akisa, you gave me some advice on which to taste first. You want me to taste the
Yeah,
fruit
so
first
if
and
you
then the
have
ginger?
right, if you have multiple sake, try the what do you called the stronger
Mhm.
flavorful one or sweeter one to the last. Okay.
Right,
So more smooth and lighter one like a daiginjo
right,
should um taste it first because anything that's stronger you had it first will basically pull in your mouth and then you're just not going to taste anything. Like if you eat like a very 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 sweet, cake or something and then try to
mhm,
eat a fruits and doesn't really taste good, right? So
right.
something like that. So
Okay, okay.
for you
Try this one
probably
first.
that one first, then the nigori should be the last because it's going to be much richer and sweeter. And for me, cowboy would be more a bold flavor, so I'm going to go with kubota daiginjo first, and then I already pour it, but make sure I know which one is which. Yeah. So
There we go. Okay.
this is my kubota daiginjo, and
Okay.
I
Oh,
don't
this
have
one's important.
anything to
I
eat.
thought I swore I opened it previously, but apparently not.
You
So,
haven't? Okay.
remember,
So
I tried the coconut one first, but I'll try this one first. I just know it's fresh. It should still be a little, cold. And Akisa, if you could talk about, like, why temperature is important. We'll talk about
yeah,
it, more later in the science of it, but what's one reason that the temperature is important?
yeah. So the first of all, the season is the thing. So you don't want to have hot sake in the middle of the hot summer, right? So
Right,
usually the season is the key. Also, something like a delicate fruity flavor of daiginjo, which is the premium sake, which meant to have those features. So you don't want to ruin that by heating up too much. So that if you hit some alcohol, you can have this vibration of aroma and alcohol coming out. So that would be not really desirable way to drink daiginjo or
Mm.
ginjo, most of the premium sake. So my kubota, I will just chill. So both of the, since it's warm now, both of us, both of the
You say
bottles are
when.
chilled.
You say when, Akisa.
All right, so cheers.
Cheers.
So this is my kubota, just smooth and just very good,
Oh wow.
fruity.
I know why I picked this one to be my favorite. That's really smooth. And uh,
Mhm.
why, why don't you tell me what you were tasting off the bat with your
So
sake?
the kubota is it's from it's alcohol 15% from Niigata Prefecture, which is the very uh famous rice production prefecture. So they tend to have a really good sake. And this is a Junmai Daiginjo. The Junmai means that pure, all the alcohol from this sake is coming from rice uh, fermentation. It doesn't add any other type of alcohol, such as wheat or
Oh,
potato or anything like that. So sometimes, if you see hon jozo, like a jozo sake is means a blend. So the junmai is known blend, like a single malt kind of thing, in
ooh, okay.
whiskey term. So the junmai is more like soft, not as sharper as some people prefer, but a very mild, soft feeling to me, from the rice. It's like uh to me it's like a kindness from the rice is this junmai type.
So what
So
sort of flavors are coming out of that cowboy sake?
cowboy is different. So do you want to move on to cowboy because I haven't tasted yet? So this
Oh,
is
sorry, I mixed it up. What are you tasting from the one that you just had?
it's called kubota.
Kubota. What does it
Kubota
taste like?
Junmai Daiginjo. The taste is the Daiginjo is very smooth, but yet a hint like a little bit fruity, light.
Mm.
Um, you know, um, hmm, it said close to full body, but um, I would say it's a lighter side. So I want to make sure I don't mix with the.
What kind of fruit? Or are you just saying that it kind of tastes generally fruity?
Yeah, so more like a sweet, um, and fruity, but also like flowery, in my opinion.
Mm.
So it's not really a taste of a fruit, certain fruits. It's that the fragrance is like aroma is more like a sweet botanical, I
Oh,
would say.
okay. Like just
So
in general and fruity.
yeah. So in a wine term, so this is a difference between the sake. So description of a sake shouldn't be like wine sommelier does. They picking specific fruits or item that
Mhm.
they're talking about, like a cherry or strawberry or melon or stuff like that. So the bottom line is sake is from rice. The rice is the only main thing. It's not like different version of a grapes or like a red grapes
Mm.
or white grapes from the fruits, right?
Right.
So it is natural to describe the wine with other fruits like berries or stuff like that, but the rice is a rice. So the even if we describe the differences, it's all just very narrow margin of um, taste and fragrance that we are talking about. So that's just the bottom line. It's different from wide variety of grapes that you can get for wine,
Right.
even if the rice is rice wine we called, right? But it's not like a wine in a European context.
Right.
So
So
yeah.
with
So that's good. So
with this one right here, this is the Toko Sunrise uh
what
Junmai
does it
Ginto.
say?
What I'm tasting, I'm
My
also
hinju? Okay.
at fruity
Yeah.
notes, but I'm tasting specific fruits like apple, melon. It's still really smooth. I wouldn't say it's crisp, but I would say the temperature does make a difference,
Mhm.
in the experience. Because if I were trying this lukewarm, I don't think the fruitiness of it would come out as much. And even some kind of sake, sommeliers will repeat this very good guidance in that there are specific temperatures you should enjoy sake at.
Mhm. Is that room temperature now or how long you
No,
leave it out?
it's still cold. I maybe had it
Okay.
out for 10 minutes. This one's
Okay.
the same, the other one's the same. The other one I brought was the Nagori. Now
Hmm.
Nagoris, you can correct me if I'm wrong because I have the expert right here. The Nagoris are the cloudier sakes. They're not
Hmm.
filtered, they're not pressed through a mesh screen.
It
One
did, at
surprising
least I did this once, but it's maybe less, the filtering is not just once because the sake and all the other koji and then all the other stuff is has to be squeezed out, right? So the first squeeze is cloudy
right,
until you get multiple filtration. So it's just a less filtered, at
right.
least once so filtered. So, but that's okay. That's a very minor thing, but it's a less filtered. They purposely left the stuff that in a sake, and that's more historically old school. Back in days, the filtration technology is not really available in ancient times. The origin of sake is all like that. So,
One of the surprising things I learned, and I didn't know this until maybe yesterday, was, that when they press and filter the sake, they make use of everything that's left over. So when they press it through the mesh screens, they'll have these leftover, almost mats of rice that they had squeezed out, and they use those in foods, in
yeah, the cooking
products.
and yeah.
What's that called? Remind me what's the name of that leftover
Um, sake kasu.
sake kasu?
The kasu means like a bits and remaining uh you know
I'm not gonna wait, I'm gonna pour my
well yeah I don't know exactly how translate that in English, but oh, did you shake it?
I thought the same. You know what? I'm just gonna shake it and pour out another one.
Yes.
But,
So
so mine's a Nagori. Tell me about the one that you're the second expert on.
suggestion, have a sip of water. Do you have a glass of water with you?
I do have water in it. It's not in a very beautiful glass, so it's actually in a plastic bottle.
Is that water or some
It's
juice?
water. It is water.
Okay, good. Um, and then kind of cleanse the palate. And then, yeah, I have to make sure it's in the same glass I already pour it, so don't want to mix it up.
So now I'll get rid of this one.
Um, Good. I'm sorry. It's just good.
What are you tasting from that one?
This one is a Yamaha Cowboy. Yamaha Junmai Ginjo Genshu. So the
Is this
Yamaha
enough
is,
baking?
yeah. You
Okay,
don't have
happy with
to
this.
shake it to the bubble coming up, you know.
Not like a bartender, like over my shoulder.
No. It's just to make sure that stuff it's mixed.
So, I heard you have a you don't recommend this because this is a little sacrilegious, but you've said that you have a rather tasty sake cocktail that you can make.
Oh, sakatini.
Saketini, what is that? Tell me
Oh,
about that.
well, I
Give
just
give
made
all of
up.
us the recipe at this point so we can make it ourselves.
Um, I think Maltini, gin Maltini is made out of gin and vermouth and a little bit of the olives and then little oil, you know, the
Mhm,
juice from that olives, pimento stuff.
mhm.
And instead of using vermouth to the diluting medium of gin, you put the gin and then daiginjo, which is more, sweeter, fruitier side of sake grade, to use as a vermouth. So anything that Martini portion that what you look at the recipe, just replace that vermouth to be sake, daiginjo sake, and then create Maltini, sakatini,
And you
and
would
then see
say
see
that
if you
this
like it.
a normal thing or an accepted thing usually with sake, but it does taste good, so it sounds like
Have you tried that?
Huh?
Have you tried that?
I haven't tried it yet, you just gave me the recipe.
Okay, okay. Yeah,
So
try that and then see if you like it. And then
so
let me
tell me
know.
about the,
Because
sake that you're trying? The second one?
second one is a cowboy, Yamaha cowboy, which sounds like American, so it's probably good
Oh,
to market for the Americans. But it's called the Yamaha Junmai Ginjo Genshu, and it's the profile. It's also from Niigata
mm,
prefecture, which is the same as the Kubota that I drink. It's profile hickory smoke vanilla cocoa cocoa cocoa,
yeah,
and
sure.
it's a full bodied umami savory is all the way to the 5 star. So it is very bold, full bodied, very rich umami. The savory, the rice and kobo creates this deeper richness is all in there. And then alcohol percent is 16.9, and it's a little higher side for
Ooh,
compared to
16.9?
yeah. And then because it's a genshu, the genshu is another grade of style of sake that are not diluted with
Mm.
water. So for sake, if you let the fermentation process keep going and going, the alcohol content's going to go up and up and up. But you have to stop it, the process, to be able to, fit in within the sake, to be able to call, sake. And which is like 15, 16, 17, well, sometimes 18%, right? So, but to change the alcohol, contents as well as um, flavor and taste,
Mhm.
people put water basically to adjust the taste, right? But in case of genshu, if you see it said genshu, which means that it's not added any
So,
water.
that's
So
bringing
it's
it down from 17%, I believe, before it's diluted, and then it's brought down to 15%. But this one that you're trying right now is closer to 16.9, so it's not even diluted at all.
this one is yes. So that's called genshu. So some
Mm.
people, it's got very strong. You can taste the strong alcohol, and which contributes to the umami flavor too. But it's some people drink on the rock, like whiskey
Okay,
in
okay.
summertime, and it's smoky.
Ooh,
Um,
okay, hickory?
that's what it says. I don't know what specifically, but it's definitely smoky, rich taste. Uh, and but I don't taste any vanilla of cocoa. So that's what they the produce, this production, sake maker will say, and the way to describe.
Do you think it's a
Um,
temperature thing? Because I saw the same description about vanilla and cocoa notes, and I
could be, yeah, if you heat it up, those aroma might come up. If you chilled, maybe it's more like a contained. So you can experiment that, but you don't have to do this just because it's set so. You don't need to uh you don't feel bad about it. You just don't taste what they say because number one, it's your palate. Okay, everybody's palates are different. We're different individuals. We're different human beings.
right.
Our taste buds are completely different. So one sake tastes good to you, but it's not good for everybody, and that's just a bottom line, and you have to accept. And the job for sake sommelier is, I believe, find the good sake, the tasty sake for individuals, the other individuals. It's not like if I like this sake, you should like it, your friend like it,
Not
you
tools.
know.
Or
That's not,
tools, not rules.
yeah. So let me help you kind of thing to find so it's heavily skewed by your taste, but it's heavily skewed by what you eat. So typical. This is like definitely marketed to US or Western you know customers, consumers, because we the Americans eat meat, heavy meat, and you know more rich barbecues and ribs and stuff like that, right? So this sake is definitely much well with those stronger flavor. But
Oh,
the first one, this is definitely fish or, more like a veggies or something more light
mm.
flavored food. So that's how you find your palate
So
based on what you like to eat.
so I already hear you kind of delving into the processes of sake and how that changed the flavor. So I'm gonna kind of share what you already have as far as how you present sake. So I'm just gonna bring up your presentation because we're already there.
Okay. All right. So I would just sake is one of my favorite drink and culturally related to Japanese culture for sure. And my previous job was director of Japan American Society. So I was professionally promoting all aspects of Japanese culture. So this is one of the sake presentation that I did in the public library. Unfortunately, I cannot serve sake in the library people, but I did that. And then when I did it, there's a newspaper people coming and then took a picture. That's the newspaper article about it's Columbus Dispatch reported that. The importance of this is that even I'm doing as a sake sommelier, sharing my knowledge and information with public. This newspaper and this report was circulated into the media, and then caught attention somebody from Little America uh, writing crew
Oh
to
wow.
decided to interview me. So that's how important my aspect of my sake. This even if it's a hobby, my passion, other than baseball, but this has actually got attention from Little America, which became more my baseball documentary. So I just liked the idea of having a different passion and then do have a lot of outlet. Sometimes people will interest you from not the things that you wanted to be interested, but something else. So, all right. So the sake, people hear about it and drink, but not exactly know what it is. It's a sake is a Japan known as a Japanese rice wine made by fermenting rice. It's not distilled like whiskey or spirit or other like Scotch whiskey or vodka or gin. Those are distilled alcohol, much higher proof, alcohol proof content. But this Japanese rice wine, which is called wine, so their alcohol percentage is anywhere between 15 to 18%, which fit into the legal law. It's a wine, and usually it's a clear, except for the nigori that Zach was tasting.
Mhm.
Usually it's a clear. Some of them are cloudy, like
Not clear.
said, and sometimes it's a sparkling. So
Mm.
in the fermenting process, sometimes they purposely have a gas like sparkling part, or they intentionally inject it to make it to the sparkling sake.
Is sparkling part of the norm, or is it
It's more like new. I think it's more like sake industry try to compete and then try to attract more younger and wider audience to be different. So it's more like a soda or champagne kind of thing. So yeah, so when I was kid, probably I never heard sparkling sake, but these days, especially in America, there's a lot of sparkling one you can buy it in the grocery store. Yeah, so it's widely available.
you wanna talk
Yeah, so
history?
well, history of sake is kind of like, how old do you want to talk about it? Because the rice farming start happening, I guess, 2, 3 centuries BC in
Right.
Japan or anywhere, all places in human history. And as old as that is, fermenting naturally happens. So that's how old it gets. But it's more like recorded in ancient Chinese documentation, Japanese ancient documentation. It existed to old temples and shrines, and then they use it more like a religious purpose. That's the beginning. So I don't think we need to go any older than that. So any
That's
any
all we
more
need
than
to
that.
know.
That's all we need to know. And the big breakthrough about the sake history is this one is pointed out 1930s. The technique of processing, the machinery to process sake, and the invention of that made big difference for certain type of sake. In the 30s, this invention of the vertical milling machine. So the milling part is that really time consuming part of rice. So you have this rice, the sakama it's called, specifically the crop that meant to make sake, and shaving off the outside gradually, like a sanding, little by little,
Okay.
just takes a lot of time. So this invention of the vertical milling machine, just put this on the top and they're coming down, keep doing. They can do it all overnight. It takes hours and hours, but to mill the rice faster, it allows to produce ginjo grade sake, which is we these days call the premium sake. The ginjo that you drink, the toko ginjo,
Mm.
and two of the ginjo. I have a daiginjo kubota. This is the highest, premium class, and then the junmai ginjo. This one is also ginjo style. So those are allowed. So because of the process take time, and that's why it's more expensive.
Right.
And because of it's expensive and more like delicate premium sake, So you wanted to enjoy the flavor the most, which is a chilled way. So that's where your question, well, should I chilled or not chilled? So those Jimai, the Daiginjo and the Ginjo style, you're encouraged to be chilled. So to get the most of the flavor. So what's the ingredients of sake? Rice, right?
Mhm.
So that's the main thing. Rice, water, and it's koji fungus. It's kind of like fungus that to break down the stuff is in there. And then yeast. The yeast is also another micro, what do you call it?
Microorganism.
Bioorganism. Yeah. So those two is actually do the magic and create the sake. So it's very simple, but then how you do it is just change the whole dynamic of flavor and
So when you say yeast, it's not like beer yeast.
yeast is yeah, the yeast is yeast. Like the yeast when you make a bread, yeast
Oh,
fungus.
okay.
Yeah. But that's not the when you make a beer, you put the yeast, right? To make so it's like a chemical experiment basically. The
Hmm.
rice has what the starch, right?
Right.
The rice has a starch. So koji fungus is help it's a mold, right? Koji mold exists in the world in Japan. And then you put that mold into that break down the rice starch to glucose. And yeast is helping glucose to break down, basically sugar, right? The glucose is a sugar,
Mhm.
break down to alcohol. So all the alcohol that we drink come with some kind of glucose starchy thing, like either potato or fruits or whatever. So use that to microorganism to break down from glucose, the sugar, to alcohol.
Right.
So, but the very, very unique about sake, and that's the only alcohol that does is the next one that I highlighted one. It's called a multiple parallel fermentation. That is only happened when we make sake, not any other alcohol, which is the koji converts the starch to sugar while yeast is breaking down sugar to alcohol. So there's a two separate chemical, breakdowns is happening at the same time is very unique to sake
Hmm.
and which gives you naturally higher alcohol content, produce more alcohol, I guess. So that's why when you stop that process is we're talking about the genshu or some diluted sake, right? So you're gonna stop some point, and then you start adding different things and or water or not doing that and create a different grade of sake. So just to let people know that the eating rice, when you eat the rice, and that is not the rice that you use for sake making. So sake brewery rice called sakamai is a little larger
Like
grain
Honika,
bits.
I think is the rice that it's called.
Huh?
So, I think the type of rice specifically, because there's thousands of different varieties of rice in Japan, and I found this out from walking through a Japanese market. But
Mhm.
the rice that I've heard specifically used for sake is a variety called Haponica.
Okay.
What is that the only one that's used with sake, or are there other
No,
varieties?
there's a grade, a different grade. Like when you have a corn, right? You harvest the corn. There's a feed for the corn for the feed, right?
Mm,
Or the corn for eat the people to eat.
mm,
So it's a different variety of rice, different species of rice. That one is engineered basically to fit to eat,
mm,
versus one is not to eat because sakamai brewery rice is not tasty.
Mm,
because it's trying not to have all this the sugar and starchy part, which is a more nutritious and the yummy part of the rice, is actually not good for taste of sake. So the
mm,
sakamai is a hybrid, made to not to less of that, but it's a larger, different, basically species of sake. But within the sakamai, there's a different one. The Yamada Nishiki is known for the good one, but there are different names and different kinds within the brewery rice. But the whole category is not to eat, not for eating.
right. So can you
Yeah.
talk
So
about how kind of sake is made from there?
well, yeah. So from that, basically, you harvest the rice. The rice is usually after deshelled. It's not white, but it's like a brown rice, right? All this
Right.
good part, nutritious part is there. And then you have to mill. That's where the milling machine's coming from. You have to mill the outside of the a grain because that's where the nutrition is if you're eating, right? But those
Right.
are not affecting good for the tasting of sake. So you want to shave it off as much as you want. So how
That's
much?
buai, I think, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Your
Mhm.
rice polishing ratio.
Yeah, so the same my boy. So all the sake, existing sake for the whatever the grade sake is that 30% shaved off of the and if this is 100%, 30% is shaved off, so the 70% is remaining, right?
And that's where
So
you're gonna see on the back of the bottle,
that's
I
the
believe, the remaining.
yeah. So right. So that's what that is, and then so then you cook the rice, steam the rice, or you soak and try to basically steam. And with the steamed rice, you add yeast and koji fungus. Those are the simultaneous fermentation that I described earlier. And then basically fermenting process started. And then stop certain point. And then drain and squeeze, which is like, or squeeze them. And then you're talking about like a block of the stuff remaining. And I mentioned that the sakikasu is the one in the bag, right? So
Mm.
that's a different, you can repurpose for that for something else. So the remaining is like basically nigori. So, and then you filtered multiple times to make it the clear sake.
Mm.
And during that process, you want to check, you want to dilute it with water or you dilute it with other alcohol and then just whatever the sake, the company, the manufacturer has a goal that well we wanted to have this kind of sake, so you try to make it to the sake that you're branding. So we need to talk about the grade and what do we have. So the seishu, which is the to be able to call sake, you have to have at least 70% remaining 30% shaved rice that you're going to use. The semi boy, 70% or less. And then ginjo ginjo class, the grade is that semi boy is less than 60%. So 40% is shaved off. So it's a little smaller. It's got a little smaller, right?
Mhm.
And then when it comes to dai ginjo, which is the highest grade, of the premium sake, semi bua is less than 50%. So polished more than 50%. So when you look at those rice bits of daiginjo, it's very, very small, tiny.
Yeah,
And
very
because it's yeah, polished most of the outside. Yeah, so it takes more than 48 plus hours to mill down that much. Can you imagine how long you have to do this, right?
oh,
That's why
yeah.
it's that daiginjo is very expensive. So more polished, more you taste like like a floral, fruity, almost like a sweet flavor.
Mm.
Even if there's no sugar added, it's not like sweet like a sugary drink, but you kind of have this less noisy. You don't really feel or taste or have aroma of rice. That it's almost like a white wine. That's sometimes people compare to white wine. So, and then there's a different style of sake other than grade. Grades are the Polish grades. Style is like a genshu, the one that I was drinking, the cowboy. This is called a genshu. Genshu is undiluted sake. And so the alcohol by volume can sometimes go up to 20 plus. So it's higher alcohol content. And next style is a junmai. So the junmai is alcohol only. The alcohol was only coming from the rice. No other alcohol is added. So you get to taste. I'm a purist, sake purist, and I like single malt too, rather than blend. So same thing for sake. I like junmai. Just I feel like you were hugged by rice. You know what I mean? When you drink junmai sake. And nigori is another style. It's a less filtered cloudy sake with the rich creamy. So the creaminess is a key, and it's also has a sweeter taste because all this umami from the rice is included in your drink. It's not filtered away,
It's
right?
great with
So
Mexican food.
yeah, so I when I pair nigori, I think it's good for like a spicy Asian food or spicy Mexican food
I agree,
or
yeah.
like a
Makes sense.
yeah, yeah, and then kind of offset that. So yeah, try that. And the last one is the sparkling that we mentioned. So the sake with the bubbles. Sometimes it's injected like this Mio that you see buy from a grocery store these days. This,
Mm.
like my husband drink like 7 Up. It's just like so drinkable, so sweet, but it's got little buds from alcohol. You don't really taste ricey, stockish flavor at all. It's just very yummy. So those are probably pretty good with like salad or like some kind of smoked salmon or something like a really light food. Okay, so the hot or cold question, like I said, there's a different way to do it. And daiginjo ginjo, like fruity flavor, is good with the cold chilled. Like I explained, those you don't want to kill those wonderful flavors. So the hot, not like a boiling hot. When you make a hot, basically give a hot bath to the little bottle of sake. And junmai, honjozo, tsushu, it's a dry, rich flavor. Wintertime, it's warming you up and it's pretty good. So, and then how to pair with the food, like I said, sake enhance natural umami from the food. So if you have a fermented food, like a pickled vegetable and stuff, it goes really well, especially like daiginjo and those are light sake. I can drink daiginjo with like pickled cucumber as like my,
Ooh,
snack. So yeah, or miso, for example, miso is a fermented soybean, right? So miso paste. So anything like a miso flavored, for example, like miso ramen would be, or tonkotsu miso ramen would be good with probably cowboy was probably very good with that too. Yeah, so that's kind of pairing and find you like, try different things with the order that I suggest, the lighter to the strong one. If you have a full flights of sake to taste, go that order and find the one that you like and then keep coming back what you like. And it might be different from your friends or your spouse and then nothing to worry about. Like people say, well, why would you like that? I like this one. Well, then just a difference, right?
this is a great
So,
picture, by the way, but I do have
thank you.
one question. For
Yes.
any of our listeners right now, if they wanted to go somewhere online to shop for for sakes or some of the sakes that we tried, what's a good online store to go to find some of these?
Well, I subscribe this company called True Sake,
Hmm.
and I don't know that's from New York. I think it might be from New York, but they ship all over US. So, and they have a variety, and their newsletter is very educational. So I sign up, and occasionally they send out emails. So yeah, so I will do that. But if you go to, look website, there's a lot of people selling, but but the thing is shipping is expensive. And sometimes, it's a $70 bottle of, sake, and then you have to pay like 50, $60 to ship to you. You feel like you go to the nearby liquor store and buy two bottles rather than, you know what I mean? But you would check the local Japanese or Asian restaurant that serves sake.
That's where I
And
found
then,
these.
yeah,
Perfect place
ask
to go.
them who is a distributor, because they are the one that distribute it to the local region. And then find out their website. I don't know, they sell directly to you, or they might tell you where to find. They might find in your nearby liquor store. So that's probably my suggestion. But the stuff like this, so the cowboy, this may not be available for your local. Um, and so as Kubota, I don't know. This is available in my area in Ohio, but you might have to go online to get specific one. So,
Well,
but
Akisa, thank you for joining us on the show after the show.
this for the
um,
sake part of the show,
yeah,
right?
exactly. We're going to pick our favorites that we're going to take forward into the rest of our conversation. I think of the two, I think this one I'm going to sip on for the rest of our conversation. What about you?
Hmm.
Which sake speaks to you?
Well, without eating any food, I go with this. It's got the
Cowboy?
bold flavor. Yeah, it's just so yummy. So I finished the first cup, so I have to pour the second cup.
All right. Well,
And
tried our sakes, talked some sakes, and picked our favorites. And now we're going to talk about some baseball. So go ahead and listen to our
ooh,
conversation there.